I want to show you how to read more books. Books are the windows to new ideas. They help me unlock new places in my brain and look at the world through different lenses. Reading has changed the way I interpret the world and respond to it. I can definitely say that I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for books. However, in the golden age of content, it seems there are more important things to do, and our priorities have shifted towards short-format reading on social media and blogs. There are so many devices and apps fighting for our attention that it is now harder than ever to find the time for reading, let alone to create a reading habit. In this video, I'll be sharing with you 11 techniques that have helped me read more books and create a reading habit that I've been able to maintain for years now. In the description of this video, you'll find the timestamps in case you want to skip right to the tips for reading more. But first, I want to give you a bird's eye view on the importance of reading books. Chapter 1. Why should we read more books? Before we dive into how to read more, let's clarify why is it a good idea to read more in the first place. Books were born as a form of communication, a means to record and share a message or idea with other people. Now we can find books of almost any kind and topic. We live in an era of information abundance. However, a survey conducted by the Pew Research Center in 2019 shows that more than a quarter of US adults didn't read a single book in the past year. This survey includes not only paper books, but also electronic and audiobooks. In the golden age of content, there are many ways to consume information, like blog posts, social media, films, documentaries, and even podcasts. So, do we really need to read books? Well, technically, we can get away without reading a single book in our entire life. But I think that would be a missed opportunity. Let me explain. In my opinion, books are a powerful source of knowledge. Think about it for a second. In the case of non-fiction books, there are people who spend years and even their entire lives researching and learning more about a certain topic. They then take this immense knowledge, process it, and write the most important parts on a book. That means that once you read that book, you'll have learned the most important ideas that these people took years to develop, but without all the work and failed experiments that went into them. Of course, you can learn a lot from blog posts, but usually books are a more curated source of knowledge that can provide you with detailed content written in a clear and well-ordered manner. We've just talked about the importance of reading. So, how can we read more? How can we create a reading habit for life? Build reading into your routine. All habits proceed through 4 stages: cue, craving, response, and reward. The cue is what triggers your brain to initiate a behavior. If you eliminate the cue, your habit will never start. One of the best ways to build a new habit is to identify an habit that you already do every single day and then stack the new habit on top of it. This is called habit stacking. What this method does is using that first habit as the cue for the new one. The formula is, after current habit, I will new habit. For example, in my case, after I go to bed, I read a chapter of a book. For you, it can be something you do every morning after going to the gym or brushing your teeth. It doesn't really matter as long as you stack reading on top of an already existing habit. Try observing your behavior for a couple of days. What are the things that you currently do on autopilot? If you want to learn more about how habits work, I recommend you to read Atomic Habits by James Clear. It goes way deeper into all this. Set a measurable goal. If you're not used to reading every day, it can be useful to define a daily reading goal. This goal should be measurable. Saying, I will read more this month is not a measurable goal. On the other side, I will read at least 20 pages a day is a measurable goal that lets you keep track of your daily progress. Choose a goal that is easy to maintain in the long term. If you're just getting started, think about what is the number of pages that you're sure you'll be able to read every single day. Let's say it's 5 pages a day. Too much? Okay, let's make it 1 page a day. Anyone can read 1 page a day, right? The key of this method is creating the habit of reading. Showing up every day, even if it's just to read 1 page, will help you create a sustainable routine that you'll be able to maintain in the long term. Most days, of course, you'll find yourself reading way more than just 1 page. But at least you know that if one day you're feeling particularly lazy, you can just put your book down after one page. But the important thing here is that you have shown up. And that's exactly what you need to create your reading habits. A great app that I use to keep track of what I read is Goodreads. Goodreads makes it easy to keep track of the books you've read, the books you're reading, and the books you want to read. It also has reading challenges where you set the reading goal for the year and see your progress over time. I usually update the status of a book once I finish reading it, but you can also add your page count progress every time you read. You can also rate and leave book reviews if you want to, but that's completely optional. This app is great to make reading like a game and keep you motivated to read more. You can also add friends so you see each other's reading progress and can hold you accountable on the challenge. For me, it works great because every time I finish a book, I get to add it to my Goodreads profile, which acts like a reward for me and motivates me to keep reading. I made a video a couple of weeks ago explaining how I use Goodreads to create a reading habit. I'll leave it in the description down below in case you want to check that out. I will also link my Goodreads profile in case you want to add me as a friend. Make reading your default activity. We all have something that we do by default when we are bored or waiting for something. Nowadays, the default activity is usually checking our phones and scroll through Instagram. What I did to read more is changing that default activity for reading. This means that whenever I'm on the metro waiting for my pasta to cook or right before going to bed, I will put out my Kindle and start reading. It's very common to hear the phrase, "I don't have time to read." But in reality, we just spend too much time on our phones. By making reading our default activity, we'll gain control over those small bits of the day spent on default activities and use them as an opportunity to read. Reading on Kindle. A Kindle device is so much lighter and easy to carry than a normal paper book. This fact has made me way more likely to take the Kindle with me wherever I go, and therefore read more than I used to. Kindle has made the reading experience way more enjoyable for me, and it's the item that I always recommend to all my friends. If you want to make reading your default activity, Kindle will make it easy to carry your books around and make any purchases in a few clicks. If you're interested in learning more on whether you should buy a Kindle, I made a video comparing Kindle to paper books and another video comparing different Kindle models. I will leave them in the description down below in case you want to check them out. Read books that you like. It seems so basic, but I feel like most of us have struggled with this at some point. It's so important that you read books that you actually enjoy. Otherwise, it will be impossible for you to create a reading habit. Please do me a favor and don't mind other people's opinions on what's considered a good book or a classic, and just read whatever you enjoy. Don't ever feel the pressure to read the same books as your friends or books that will make you look smart only because they are considered classics. You should read books that you like. If you're not used to reading, it will definitely take you some time to develop your reading taste. And that can be difficult at the beginning, but I will suggest you to just keep trying new genres and topics. There are so many options out there: poetry, thriller, self-help, fantasy. There's a wide variety of books you can choose from. Personally, in the past, I've struggled a lot to find a genre that I liked. In my teenage years, I would force myself to read narrative fiction like The Hunger Games and other bestsellers that everyone my age used to like. But after trying out many books, I realized that I really enjoy nonfiction. So those are my favorite kind of books. And thanks to that realization, I now read way more than I used to. So remember to read things that you enjoy and do not care about other people's opinions. Read multiple books at the same time. In the past, I used to have this mentality that I have to finish a book before starting a new one. However, I've realized that reading multiple books at the same time can make reading more fun. Especially when reading very dense or long books, you need to be aware that you won't be always in the mood for some heavy reading. For those occasions, it's good to have something light to read when you don't feel in the mood. I also like to pick shorter books when I'm reading longer ones, so I have this feeling of constantly moving forward. It's okay not to finish a book. In multiple occasions, you'll find yourself reading a book and not liking it or just getting bored. It's fine, this happens a lot, especially if you're still trying to figure out the type of books that you like. During that process, there will be many times when some books just don't click. In those occasions, don't feel bad to leave the book unfinished. Forcing yourself into reading a book that you don't like will make reading feel like a chore, and therefore you'll be less likely to read. When that happens, feel free to give that book to a friend as a present, so you'll be giving a second life to that book. In most big cities, there are areas in which you can exchange a book for another. You can look for places like that in your area, so you get another book for free. Audible. If you can't read on the commute because you drive to work, or you want to read while doing other tasks like working out, the best option for you is getting an Audible subscription. Audible is an audiobook service with a huge book catalog that you can listen to while cooking, having a walk, or at the gym. The magic of Audible is that it lets you read without reading. I've been using it for some months now, and I even made a review on it. So I'll leave it in the description down below in case you want to check that out. Avoid distractions. If you see yourself getting way too distracted while reading, you want to identify which are those things that distract you and reduce their impact. For example, if you get distracted by messages on your phone, make sure to put your phone on Do Not Disturb mode, or maybe leave your phone on the other side of the room so you can focus on your reading. If you minimize distractions, your brain will stop making up excuses not to read. More doesn't always equal more. Reading every day is probably the single habit that has most changed my life. And if you have reached the end of this video, you're probably eager to read 100 books a year. You'll see people reading crazy amounts of books every year and might be tempted to keep up. But please, take it easy and try not to compare yourself to other readers out there. Many of those readers tend to read shorter books in order to maintain the pace or even skim through books. Please, read whatever makes you happy. If that means reading longer but fewer books a year, then let it be. Reading should be this exciting thing that we do to learn and expand our ideas. So, enjoy it. Those were my 11 tips to read more and create a reading habit. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. If you found it helpful, please consider subscribing, as I'll be posting more videos on self-improvement and reading. If you know any other tips on how to read more, please make sure to leave them in the comments section so we can all learn from each other. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.